Hello and welcome to another episode of Fresh Film Fridays, the Book of Boba Fett edition, the podcast where two dudes watch the Book of Boba Fett the second it airs and discuss it. Today we are talking about Chapter 5, The Return of the Mandalorian, which was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. I'm your co-host, Alec.
I'm Justin, and today we have with us our good buddy Dom.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I've been on the podcast a few times, done a few horror movies, but this is a nice change of pace.
The last one was Red Dragon, right?
I think so. Yeah, and then, I love The Mandalorian. So, I was eager to watch Boba Fett, a little bit nervous. I wanted to ask you guys, up until this episode, how did you feel overall? Like the tone for this new, obviously it's still Jon Favreau, and Boba Fett is they have to distinguish him from the Mandalorian. And I know that you guys have done a couple episodes on this, but I just kind of wanted to say, I wanted to get your tone for the show so far, because I think it's a really sharp contrast between this and the Return of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I'm not as hard on these because, coming from the movie, the sequel trilogy, which I was not really thrilled with, The Mandalorian was such a nice refresher in the Star Wars world for me. For me, it is the best thing that Star Wars has done since Return of the Jedi. I mean, I love The Mandalorian. So this episode specifically was awesome. Book of Boba Fett overall, it's good. It's not amazing. I'm not sitting there week to week like, oh my God, I cannot wait. But I'm never not enjoying it when I'm watching it. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to directly compare Mando and Boba. They're just so different in terms of we've talked about this on the other episodes where Boba's a character we know, and it's kind of like another pathway from the original trilogy, whereas Mando, they could just every new episode could be something totally new, and we're like, oh shit, Mando. I like it. I definitely think Disney is putting a Disney spin on Boba. And it's not the Boba we know. He's not like a ruthless killer mercenary anymore. But either way, I still think it's moving in the correct direction.
Yeah, and I've heard you talk about that before. I think that originally when I was watching the Book of Boba Fett, they definitely put that Disney twist. For me, the Mandalorian represents what I thought Boba Fett would be, right? The strong, silent type. And it's very interesting because you pay so much more attention during the Mandalorian when you need to pick up on his subtle body cues to tell just how uncomfortable or what he's paying attention to. And then when they go back to real actors, it seemed like in the first couple episodes of Boba Fett, a lot of glory shots where it's him with his helmet off, Boba Fett just standing there with his arms on his hips looking like a hero. And then a lot of the girl being I guess I'll stick around for just one more mission. And it felt a little too I don't know, man. It just felt like a kid's show all of a sudden. And I was having a hard time with it until this episode where I was like, oh yeah, it's because the Mandalorian set up such a strong tone. And
yeah, dude.
It is the first 10 minutes I felt relieved. I don't know about you guys, but I was him walking in and murdering and taking the head of that bounty. I was like, yep, this is what I was hoping for.
Well, didn't that scene kind of, I was like, you know what, Disney? You know what? Good for you. When he cut that guy in half, I was like, okay.
Well, the only problem I have with I guess what you just said, Alec, and I'm not gonna say, even though this technically was my favorite Boba episode, even though Boba wasn't in it. So that's what kind of bothers me is it was my favorite episode, but Boba wasn't even in it. So technically Boba episode 2, I still have to say is my favorite with the train. But yeah, dude, there was no Mando foreplay in this. Mando just went straight in, because you know how a lot of these shows do it. You wait 35 out of the 40 minutes, and then the last scene, Mando will be like, and you're like, oh shit, he's gonna be in the next episode. But in this, dude, it opened right up, and he just started fucking people up,
dude, so badly. And I was I'm sitting there, and I realized that's what's been missing. And I was kind of worried because very much Boba Fett's I want to earn people's respect, and you haven't watched him really murder anyone, right? And you're like, oh, this is kind of like Disney's version of Breaking Bad. And let me tell you, the things I like about the first episodes are the special effects, especially for someone like me, right? Who does this, who tries to do this in his spare time. the budget of the practical slash special effects has been incredible. I've
Yeah.
never seen anything like it on TV. And I was like, you know what? I'll give Boba Fett credit because they're obviously trying to nerf this a little bit. Maybe they're trying to appeal to kids, something like a little bit less serious than The Mandalorian. But I gotta say, as soon as they showed this episode, I felt like the luckiest kid in the world because this is the episode I have been waiting for. Like just long shots, beautiful special effects. They did fanfare, but in a way that like as soon as they pulled out like the Naboo fighter, I was like,
Mm.
oh my god! Like and
This episode was oozing with nostalgia. Like when he took out the dark saber, I sat up in my chair straighter. I was like, "Yes, dude, here we fucking go." And then the Naboo fighter, man, like what a great way to tie in the well, not the originals, but like movies from 20 years ago, you know?
Oh
something
yeah.
that hasn't been brought back up again. The Naboo fighters happened in the prequels, and then they were very, very cool. I remember every video game had some kind of like beat this level with a Naboo fighter, and seeing it and what they did with it in this episode, I was cheesing so hard.
How do you guys think they got it though? Because I know they keep saying like you don't want to know, the Jawas just get it. Like seriously, you don't want to know. But like, how the hell did they get a Naboo starfighter? That's from galaxies away.
Well, we don't really know how big like Tatooine is. They really only show like the same like couple areas of the planet. But
Yeah.
like there could be tons of shit there. It could have been someone had it. I mean, hell, on Tatooine they have what is it? Is it the Death Star or what's that spaceship from the new trilogy that
Oh, the
crashed there?
big the Star Destroyer that's
Yeah.
crashed.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
who knows what's out there?
Yeah. Well, speaking of fan service too, we finally get to see a Womp Rat in Beggar's Canyon. Did you guys
Oh,
notice
that
that?
like it was just like chilling there, sunning, and I was like, look at this fucking dude. Speaking of nostalgia, that was the Anakin pod race map. Do you remember
Yeah.
from
Oh.
Phantom Menace?
When basically right before it goes to Beggar's Canyon, right?
Yeah, she's like, if you go to Beggar's Canyon, there's some maneuvering, skills there. And I was like, dude, this is the exact pod racing scene that Anakin did, where he was fighting that guy who was like, a wata. And I was like, this is awesome, dude.
That's the Boba.
Sabova,
The
yeah.
Boba. I gotta tell you, like, I think the biggest thing that was a difference is Boba Fett, they have a lot of story to tell, obviously, in 4 episodes, but the pacing, like, there's a lot of shots of Boba Fett either like in the healing chamber or like standing by a fire or something like that. In this episode, Mandalorian always has shots that move. You're always following him. They're showing off the environment and the pacing. I mean, I thought that they were going to definitely set up the whole I taken my mask off further down in the series, but they just addressed it immediately.
Oh yeah, shoot. It's almost like, did she know?
Well, that's the thing. I want to talk about that scene because I feel like that dude that fights him must have known.
Oh yeah, dude. That was like the mountain's version of in Mando. They're just
Yeah.
like, yeah, we just have this like ape-sized dude.
He's played by Jon Favreau.
No way.
Yeah.
Like his voice, obviously,
I'm
not the
assuming the
body,
voice.
right?
Yeah. I mean, he's hot off a chef still. I don't know if he's ready to play that
I
role.
couldn't recognize his voice as John Favreau.
Me neither.
But yeah, dude, that was sick. It was cool that like his ancestors made the dark saber and they're buddies. He like healed his leg, but he wants it and he was willing to fight to the death and then she stopped it. And I felt like that question when she asked him about the helmet was kind of rhetorical because he could have just lied and been like, "Nope, never took it off."
Eh,
Yes. Dude, and honestly, it was weird because watching that fight scene, it had so much more weight. Like I've been watching these episodes and they have like the Power Ranger rovers of like the cyberpunk kids who like chase down. There's just something about each scene in the previous episodes of like chase scenes. There's definitely some high production value, but there's no stakes because a lot of the time it's like, well, Boba Fett's not wearing his armor, so he really can't get shot. And at the end of every episode, he heals himself. So there's just like it doesn't feel like there's really like high stakes. Whereas if I'm watching Mando season 1 or season 2, Mando gets its ass kicked
Oh yeah.
often, and
Oh
like
yeah.
the way they shot the fight scene between him and like the Mando Mountain. Right, like the minute that he got grabbed, you're like, "Oh my god, this is Bane and Batman!" Like you're
Oh
gonna
yeah.
watch this dude just get his back broken.
Yeah, I mean, physically, You knew Mando had to use like actual skill to beat that dude. And he did like he cut like, his the back of his legs like 30 times with his little knife. That was sick. I don't know, it kind of made the previous scene seem a little pointless though, where like the forge lady kind of like they drew this whole thing out like she's forging the spear into something and they're having like this like welcome, you are now one of us. And then the very next scene she's like you are banned forever.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, hear me out, hear me out. You know how the guy that played the Mandalorian kind of was like complaining about not having his face be in the
Yeah,
show? Yeah.
Pedro Pascal was is complaining.
Yeah. Is this a way for them to kind of be like, well, he's not a Mandalorian anymore, so he can take his helmet off as much as he wants?
That would be funny.
That would be, and like I feel like that episode last season with Bill Burr was like a direct response to that. Like, okay, well, we're going to give you a full episode, and the repercussions of it are going to be addressed immediately. But I don't know, man. This episode it did so many things right that I'm almost nervous to go back to Boba Fett.
Oh no. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at least they're gonna cross paths now. But he did say at the end, he's like, "I gotta go see Grogu first and give him this like cock ring I made for him or whatever."
I
But
like the scene right after that where he was like going on the commercial starship and like the robot reminded me of TSA where he's like no weapons and he's unloading like all his bullets and his wrist spike things and his dark saber and it just reminded me of like take your shoes off and your belt and take your iPad out of its case and put it in a separate tray and I'm like even in a galaxy far away these guys are still fucking annoyed by flight travel.
like, sir, you
Oh,
can't bring that Bacta water bottle on this plane. Like, it's just like, God damn it.
yeah.
That water is over 6 ounces. He's like,
Yeah.
come on.
Oh god, that's so true. I understand that they're doing a different thing with Boba Fett, and he's got to be nice, and he's got to, I'm not invested in him taking things back. At first I was kind of excited by the Hutt twins, and they're obviously going to come back in at some point, but it just feels like, well, we have a list of characters that we need to introduce. And whereas the first season would take an entire episode and they would slow pace it, it feels like Boba Fett's like, well, we need an expedition dump. We got to go back in time. There was a point where they were going, how he met up with his female assassin. And I forgot which time period we were in. And I was like, oh, wait, this is before he got his armor back. And I don't know. Every time they show another shot of him in the tub having nightmares, and I guess, I'm thinking, all right, well, that's a connection between Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. They both have like this severe childhood trauma. Boba Fett has, where his dad flew away and, or not his dad, but his cloning dad flew away and got killed. And, the Mandalorian is that day where his parents were killed and by droids. I don't know. It's such for a spin-off show, especially if they're really bringing the Mandalorian into it, it just feels so underdeveloped.
Hmm. Well, speaking of exposition dump that you just mentioned, I love the scene where the armorer is kind of explaining what happened to Mandalore and like the Empire destroying and everything like that. I just wanted the Mandalorian to be like, I know, like I know, this is clear. Who's this for?
I liked when she's like, yeah, you must like retain your honor in like the underground water caves. And he's like, but those are closed. And she's like, yeah, sucks to suck. Like, he's like, there's literally nothing else I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kept bringing up like this saber must have been won during battle, or it brings bad luck. And he's like, "Yeah, I won it in battle." And he's like, "Are you sure you won it in battle?" He's like, "Yep, won it in battle." And it's like,
Yep.
"But did you kill him?" He's like, "Nope, still won it in battle."
That battle too, I'm not saying the Mandalorian should have said this, but he just cut his leg up pretty good. And then that guy's like, hey, I want to fight you like really full force right now. Like, would it have been bad if he was like, hey, listen, like totally down, need like a week, and then I'm good to go. Because like, he's not fighting at 100%.
The funniest part of that was that it's an option, and obviously on their honor, like they're not going to say no, and he's not going to lie about him taking his helmet off. But she was like, "Do you accept?" I would have been like, "No, I'm
Well,
keeping
yeah.
this." Like, no.
Yeah, he's like, also my leg really hurts, and I don't really feel like doing this right now. I'm tired. I just got off a mission.
Dude, I love that he cut his leg though, because like how many times in movies have you seen some person who's never had a lightsaber before just pick it up and they're like, oh yeah, I could totally hold my own.
Yeah, Finn.
Yeah, Exactly.
Oh my
Finn
god,
literally, like, beats Kylo Ren.
don't even
For
get me started with this
yeah.
shit.
No, but yeah, but you're right though, Dom, that is cool to see the good guy like, "Oh, he doesn't know what he's doing."
He does, he does get hurt, and I thought it was funny when she was like, "What do you want me to make with this spear?" And he was like, "Something stupid for Grogu." I would have been like, "Can you actually make that armor for like my hamstring? Because that's where I got cut. So
Right.
I want to
What
prevent this again."
like, what's gonna he's gonna go to Grogu and be like, "Hey, I made this for you." He's like, who are you again? It's been a while." Like, "Really? You're all I think about."
How
Oh,
did you like the starship building montage that they had?
well, I don't know if you guys have played Star Wars: The Fallen Order.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Dom. Come
Yeah,
on.
okay, just making sure. So that droid that like helps him with the light, I was like, oh, like that's the droid from
Oh.
Fallen Order. It's on his
Right.
back.
The little guy that's, like, all happy and, like, bounces back and forth. That guy?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny, dude, because she was like, "This would go a lot quicker if we both did it," and then like it paused, and I played the scene from South Park in my head. I was like, "We're gonna build a starship," and they're just like turning random things with a wrench.
Well, I thought what's gonna happen is I thought he was gonna be like, "What am I supposed to do?" And I thought she was gonna be like, "I don't know, go see the sights of Tatooine," and that's when he was gonna bump into Boba Fett. That's what I thought was gonna happen.
Yeah.
At the local bar, he'd be like,
Well,
"Hey."
I don't know, it's like, "Go get a drink," or something, goes there, and all of a sudden there's, like, a big gang fight, and then Boba Fett's like, "Hey, I said calm down, mates," and then, like, sees
I
the man.
might, dude. This furthers my belief that I think he's gonna have the whole gang back together because people were posting on Twitter like, is he gonna bring in Bosk or IG uh,
88.
88 and then the other dude Dengar? I want to see this season finish out with Boba, Fennec, Django. I mean,
Jango.
Boba, and then also Bosk and Black Chrysanthemum. Like just this badass squad would be so sick.
Ugh. Yeah, dude, I don't even know where it's interesting because like I don't even know where I want this to go at this point. I just want to stay with the Mandalorian. Like I don't know, even when they're flying through the canyon, right? It felt like such a triple A moment. Like and they definitely had some of those with the Slave One in the previous episode and
Whoa, 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 whoa! It's called the Firefly now or something. Fire.
oh my bad, my bad.
I'm just kidding.
Cancel Dom, cancel Dom.
Dom's been canceled.
I don't even know Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Oh
No,
my god.
but I was like, it's one of those things where I feel like with Boba Fett, they keep cutting back for him to have like one-liners, and I don't know. It just it cuts the momentum of the action scenes.
I know what you want to say, Dom. You want to say that Mando is better than Boba, but like in your heart, you can't. And we're not going to say it on this show, Dom. We're not going to
Like
do.
and honestly, I feel like I would have killed years ago to have a Boba Fett, like everything. They do everything from him, taking on the pit and like everything that I wanted to happen has happened. It just doesn't feel as good knowing that there's a better show out there.
You know what it is too? It's like, Justin, we have said like, we know Boba, like that's why it's easier to kind of get invested in this. We don't really know Boba. We like we've seen pictures of Boba. We think Boba's badass, but like Boba, we don't know any fucking thing about Boba Fett. So then this series, we finally get to see a little bit about him, and I think in our minds over years we've made him out to be this like Mandalorian basically, but for the most part, he kind of is what he is. We don't know who Boba Fett is.
Dude, you're 100% right.
We don't
100.
know him in respect to his dad because in the prequels, Django was killing everyone. He was killing Jedi. He's fighting Obi-Wan badass with his pistols. And Boba, we saw him for 30 seconds in the originals, and he just did his typical Star Wars scream and fell down the pit. And maybe he's just trying to build the family on Tatooine that he didn't have as a child.
Oh.
Oh,
No,
Oh.
you're absolutely right, and I think that like him being smarter than like trusting these families, is like they're going to serve their own self interest, and they do a good amount to kind of like bring his motivations into play. If I were in charge of this, I think I would have started the series with the last episode, not the one we watched, but the one before that, where he brings the girl in for her new mech, and they go in, they get a ship back, the Firefly, I guess. And I think that was a good, and he talked about why he's doing this and like what brings him there. the stuff with the Tusken Raiders, like it was cool because it's like, all right, well, this is going to teach him different skills, and he's gonna respect the planet of Tatooine more than the politics of it. Like
Mm.
these are the original, indigenous people, and they respect the sands, and they're part of our protection thing. So it makes them different. But you're right, Alec. I imagined all these years that he was more like the Mandalorian than he was just this nice guy who got sick of working for people.
I mean, he still could have been technically in like the 30 years. And I think the thing he's trying to emphasize now is he does not want to be like his previous employers, which were like jerks like the Huts, where they don't have any honor and they're backstabbing people. And when he was a mercenary for them, like they didn't care if he fell down the pit or died. So he's trying to like get Fennec, get the group of kids and the two pigs that he could have killed. And he's trying to create like, I don't know, I don't want to be cheesy and say a family, but like an army where he can, respectfully control Tatooine.
I'm just imagining it's just like everywhere you look. It's just
Stop.
like literally all of them. Like, he's driving the car on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Ah, Bob.
All right, two things I just got to mention really quick. Did they just literally rip off Halo in this? Like 100%?
Yes. Oh yeah, dude. When you saw that first shot and you're like, "Oh, that's Halo."
I was like, okay, like literally, that's literally exactly what Halo is. But sure, okay, all right, I'm cool. We're on board for that. The other thing is, I can't remember her name, but the woman that helps put the ship together, who's been in like 20 episodes.
Yeah.
Did she imply that she gave a Jawa a blowjob?
She just said multiple times they're furry, and
Mm-hmm. The second time she said furry, she kind of did like a mouth thing, like yeah, like. So I was like, aha, Disney,
she's
what
like,
are we doing?
between the sand and the fur, I mean, it's rough out here.
Well, you know what was also exciting is like in every other episode, there's some kind of foreign creature, right, who speaks in a different tongue, and then they respond in English, right? And I'm always like, oh, well, I mean, I guess humans are only one capable of understanding, and they can understand us, they can't speak back in our tongue. But it was cool to see her respond in Jawanese, whatever that language was.
Dude,
Yeah.
when she said the second time, like, "Oh, I've dated a Jawa," and then he said something, and she was like, "No, I'm working on myself right now, thanks." I was like, "Why are you doing this? Like, why are we even doing this right now?"
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like the one shot of him going up and down the elevator, and I don't know, man, it just feels like so much more of a cinematic experience, and that's how Mandalorian, for the most part. And I was thinking back to like the different planets they inhabit. Right now, we're kind of stuck on Tatooine with Boba Fett, and obviously that's his domain. But like every place you go into, it looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that is
How
true.
how'd you like the space scene where those, the rebels pulled him over and they were like, "Do you know how fast you were going?"
Dude, I was like, "Oh my god, didn't this just happen?" Like last season, like, "Oh no, we're gonna go through this whole like, I'm sorry, officer, I can't find my license." Like,
Yeah, and now we've got that one, like, bearded, Republic guy who's just like, "I remember you." So it's like this little ongoing True Detective wannabe, like, "They were catching that guy."
He's like, "You weren't in a gunship before," and he's like, "Nope."
He's like, "Me out of the 10 trillion people in this galaxy? I don't think that was me. No, pretty sure. Pretty sure it wasn't
Seriously.
me."
I was so I was laughing pretty hard at the fact that he just zooms away and the two of them are like, "Huh." Like, guys, you're not even gonna try to chase him or
Like, "Eh."
Dom, don't you know that the rebels go by the Tokyo Drift rules? They're like, yeah, if he goes over 100 miles an hour, the cops don't even chase him.
don't
Oh
even
my
chase him. I mean, I guess do you wanna do your job all day or do you wanna just get a beer? Like
Why do you think that the Mandalorian, after he cut his leg, like, immediately wasn't like, "I should probably go to a hospital," or, like, "Get this taken care of"? I was wondering if health insurance in Star Wars is similar to America, where he's just like, "It's just not
Maybe
even worth it."
he has high Mandalorian copay. I don't know.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
They're like, "Listen, I don't want the hospital asking questions like, did you cut yourself with your own lightsaber? You don't wanna go through that mess. Plus, I
Right.
got this head that I gotta deliver and walk away as the woman offers me more work." You
Yeah.
know,
I
it's a
love
whole
that.
thing.
Dude, Mandalorian, he's, like, so, like, "Okay, you won't do? Fuck you, I'll walk away." And just like, he did that, like, 3 times in this episode where he's like, "This isn't the ship I want, fuck you," and starts turning away. She's like, "Hold on, hold on." Like, what was he gonna do then? Just get back on the ship and be like, "Well, I guess I'll go fucking get a drink now."
I
Dude,
don't
I,
know.
I gotta be honest though, I love that because
Yeah.
in Boba Fett, they're always like, "So Boba, do you want this thing?" And he leans in really close and he's paying attention. He's like, "What do you mean, mate?" And like, oh God.
I
Yeah.
love how he's the only dude in the galaxy with a New Zealand accent. It's so fucking funny, dude.
I know. Well, you guys got any last minute thoughts on chapter 5?
I loved it.
Dude, I loved every second of this episode. I will rewatch this one, and I can't say that for any of the other episodes yet. Not that there wasn't great stuff in it, but this episode from beginning to end felt like a full story episode. And I'll tell you, like the last couple episodes, they've been pretty light. You know, the Wookiee tore the arm off was like a nice little fanfare thing. But I've been waiting for people to get ripped apart, like, you know, especially with all the stuff they have. What's the creature down in the pit?
Rancor?
Yeah, I'm hoping at some point that he just makes work of somebody because that's my teen dream from growing up, just to watch the new version get after it.
Dude, it's like every little kid who just like took a Boba Fett action figure, put on the Rancor, and was like, "Rah!" like riding around. And John Favreau is finally like, you know what? We should just do that. Let's just do that.
I'm gonna make that happen.
Justin, how about you? Any last minute thoughts?
I really liked it. I think the end of the series is going to be a real cliffhanger. Like, it's going to end with the whole group being together: Black Krrsantian, Fennec, Boba, and Mando. And it's just going to be like, what's going to happen in the next one? And they're just all going to be together.
God, I hope so.
Mace Windu. Mace Windu is going to be the cliffhanger. Mark my
Yeah,
words. Mace
no one
Windu.
stays dead.
Mace Windu.
What if this series ended, Alec, on the 7th episode, right? They beat all the enemies. Boba's fucking king, and they're all like around the dinner table in his new palace. And you just see, like in the original trilogy, like Luke comes down in his robe, and it's someone in robe, and you just see a purple lightsaber extend, and it just ends.
Yeah, I think something like
Yeah,
that's
that'd
going
be
to happen.
sick.
Ooh.
That's exactly what I think. Something like that.
That would be so sick.
They got to do it now while while Samuel L. Jackson's still acting, man.
No, I want them to do it, and then I want to wait 8 months. That's what I want.
The Disney way.
Oh my God. All right. Well, Dom, as always, you are our first guest ever
Yeah.
on any
Oh.
podcast. So
Yeah, dude, I'm so honored to. I feel very lucky for getting this episode, and I really appreciate you guys inviting me on.
Yeah. Don't forget it.
Oh
No,
my God.
no, thank you. This was a great episode, and I also think it was a great episode to review.
Yeah. No, super good. Well, thank you everybody for listening into Chapter 5 today. If you haven't had a chance yet, on Monday we released Troll 2, and then on Friday we have The Prestige coming. Wait, not The Prestige. The Protege coming out. Yeah, look forward to that, and we'll see you guys all next week with Chapter 6.
See you.
Bye.